Hi there. This is just a really big shout out to all the people who talk about real conversations. So when I'm saying real, it doesn't necessarily have to be the negative ones, but it can and does include subjects like suicide or abortion or marriage equality or sexual gender equality or binary, non-binary or how you feel politically or about vaccinations or anything, to all those people, not just for having an opinion and for shouting it out, which I'm learning over the years is not really that important to be heard, as in only ourselves being heard, but also to hear one another and not just to argue about something or to just hang out with people who align to the same opinions, because an opinion really just is an opinion. But to also a big shout out to the people who celebrate those differences, who listen to each other, not just you to me, but also me to you, where we can hear and feel and resonate with your story and why you feel that way and where you're getting the information from. And instead of being disrespectful about it, but to also engage with you and to ask you questions about things that matter to you and things that matter to me. I'm really entering into a new chapter in my life where I'm observing that this world really is changing at a rapid pace, and that in terms of communication, we are kind of losing the art of communication. That's a real concern. We feel there's many of us in the world who seem to be just finding a means to have our voice heard. So we're looking for a platform to be able to speak our truths. But in this time and day and age where we're losing trust and faith in the powers that be, and we're starting to question things and their integrity and everything, which I think is wonderful. I think that's really good to question it with integrity, but also do so with wisdom, tenacity and respect to one another, and to also recognize that it's not so important just to be heard. We're all wanting to be heard, we know this, but also to hear one another, especially on things that, well, I was going to say especially on things that matter, but everything matters to different people. You know, to one person it's neither here nor there to take a stance on the vaccination. I'm one of those people. But to other people it's really important to have a strong view for or against. And for some people who want to get married that are of the same gender, it's very important for them to stand up and to have their opinions or their feelings heard and counted. And to somebody who has a very anti-view on that, has their reasons for it too. Sometimes I feel like when we do actually literally listen and hear each other and our stories of how we came to that conclusion, then we can bridge that form of communication. We can both come out a lot more enlightened. It's not about just finding an argument to ingrain more into our viewpoints, but also to understand more about how somebody else comes to that view. There is an old saying that if you want someone to change a view, the best way to do it is to sweeten them with honey. I know someone's going to find the proper term for this, proper cliche. I'm not very good at cliches at the best of times. And I invite you to do so, but I guess that kind of stands true. If you and I have very different views on a subject, and we want to coerce somebody to see our point of view, then I think that rather telling them that they are wrong and our view is right, perhaps a more effective strategy would be to try and engage with them and ask some questions about how they came to that conclusion, where they were getting the information from, what learning, where they'd gotten their learning from. Had they gotten it from books? Was it just from social media? Were those people that they're listening to on social medias, were they educated in that particular stream of conversation, or what was it? I mean, there's tantamount subjects I could think of to draw on for this, but I don't want to stand divided on a whole lot of rabbit holes where we start talking about our views for and against that. The point I'm trying to make is that let's come together, people, and thank you to each and all those beautiful people around me. There's only a small amount in my head who are willing to be real and vulnerable and raw. The subject today for me was suicide, and I went and spoke with someone, and I have actually had a couple of people who've come up to me this week on the subject, because I'm about to run an event to try and raise awareness and support. And there's a couple of people who've just off their own bat come to me and had conversations about how it's impacted their life, in terms of how they've grappled with the subject of suicide, or how they have struggled not to suicide, or how they've lost family members or friendships. There was someone who told me he'd lost 16 members in 2 years of his circle, his best friends and all that, about cultural identity and how that identifies suicide, and how they discuss it, how men talk or don't talk about it, how families might push it under the rug because they're not ready to come to terms with it, or how they reach out to other people rather than address their own. Or there's so many different ways to look at this, and all of them are right. There's no wrong or right. But what we can do is perhaps just come together under that umbrella of understanding and celebrate those differences and respect them, and also try and find ways to incorporate all of them in our own personal understanding on any subject and on any level with each other. So thank you for celebrating those differences between us and around us and in us, and thank you for your love and support on my channel.
Hello, Sunshine. How are you going?
Sunshine on a rainy day. Now, can I help you with something?
I'm young couple, thank you. I'm here for writers.
Oh, the writer's group.
I thought I'd try and make it on a right date this
On the
time.
right day, so it's Thursday today. Let me try and catch up with my day. Hello, Pluto.
I love this painting.
Yeah, it's got in a gold sort of view.
Who's done that? You could have said it was really expensive and I would have believed you.
Yeah, we got a. We. What do they call it when you get somebody to do it? Commission.
You commissioned someone to do it.
Yes, that's right.
How do you work out who you're going to commission to do it? That'd be perfect for a photo shoot I'm doing on Friday.